Balotelli, Aguero!
Time to redraft. We're going back now. 2012 draft. I don't think we've hit the stage yet where the guns have retired yet. They're still well and truly in their prime. We were discussing off air what age we'll get to. I think 2007, 2006 might be the cutoff point where we, especially myself, is a bit out of my depth. But I'll go first, and once again, you boys can correct my mistakes. Hopefully, I haven't missed any Caleb Daniels of the world this time round, and hopefully, I haven't picked any mature ages at this stage. Couldn't tell you who's the mature ages, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, just in general, this draft, a lot less depth. I know now the players who maybe played 70, 80 games, they might have been delisted by now. So, like, if they're not currently playing, I wouldn't have even considered them. So I only really considered 12 players for my top 10 here. So it was a pretty easy selection process, but that made the positioning tough. So my honorable mentions are Jack Viney. Just think he's a really good player, and when he's fit and firing, he's good. But I just think the amount of injuries he's had over his time in the AFL, for me, make him an honourable mention. He's probably better than some of the players in my top 10, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Tommy Cleary, although he's a pretty good player at the moment, and he came. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think you have him that high, but yeah, what I was looking at, which probably made me leave him out, is he's only played just over 100 games. So, and he's been a regular for the last couple of years. So, like, compared to some of the others who've basically played from the get-go of being drafted, he took a lot longer to get into the side. And now he's a very reliable player. But yeah, that came into my thinking. Putting him there, which it was harsh. I feel bad for him, but I know Pilch will have him in there, so he can chat about him there. But yeah, all right, number 10. I know Rhett doesn't like this bloke, and Rhett always listens to the redraft, so shout out to Rhett. But Tim Embry, he has been the Saints' leading goal kicker 3 years. I think it was like 2017, 18, 19, maybe, something like that. But I've got him in at pick 10. Don't think he's an incredible player or anything, but very serviceable, tall forward. Hopefully Max King sprouts, and then he can be a very good number 2. Some of his highlights, he came 5th in the BNF in 2019. Yeah, not really much else to mention. I've just got him there because of the honourable mentions.
Might move him down after hearing that.
What? That's not even disgraceful.
No, my one, mate. I've got him high as far.
Okay, fair enough. Well, yeah, you can half him off if you want. Number 9, I've got Camden McIntosh. Look, if you take away the flags, I don't know if he'd make my 10. Probably not. But purely because he has been a pretty solid cog in a very good team. 1-2 flags. He mustn't have played 2019 or, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was 2019 he missed, or, yeah, I'm getting confused now. But he did only have 2 flags when I checked. He came 5th in their BNF last year, coming in top 5 in a premiership winning side. That's pretty impressive. So, yeah, here's my number 9. Very good role player for the Tigers, as a lot of them are. Number 8, I've got Ollie Wines. In terms of career achievements, there's not too many of note. Ooh. And I don't think he's actually that good of a player till about 2019. And then I think he became a lot more impactful on games. I think up to that point, he didn't amass enough of the footy to allow for his average disposal, where now he absolutely racks up and is a contested beast. So, yes, right now, if we're looking at 2021, who out of this draft class do you want in a team, he'd be right up there. But in terms of his career to date, for me, he's not that high. But yeah, good player. Number 7, I've got Lockie Hunter. Won the BNF at the Dogs in 2018. Obviously won the flag in 2016. Probably past it now, you would have to say. Kind of playing as like a pressure forward now, where at his prime he was a bit of a winger, a bit of a halfback flanker. Very good user of the footy. Silky player. And, he's just a typical Dogs player, isn't he? Just classy individual. Loves it at Marvel/Etihad. So here's my number 7. Number 6, I've got Joe Danaher. I found him really hard to position, but when he's up and firing, one of the best tall forwards in the game, but his injury issues can't really be ignored. Has hardly got on the park consistently. Made the All-Australian squad in 2017, Essendon best and fairest in 2017. 4 times in his career, he's been his club's top goal kicker, which is pretty impressive. So he's my number 6. Number 5, I've got the number 1 pick from the Dandenong Stingrays, Lockie Whitfield. Sure, Pilch has got him at like number -1. The man crush he has on Lockie Whitfield is enormous, but
Mate, that doesn't even exist, mate.
yeah, I know. Come on, mate. I do understand that, but 2018
No,
All-Australian.
I'm talking about the man crush, mate. There is no man crush.
Yeah, maybe it's just Supercoach. I'll allow that. 2018 All-Australian squad member. He won the GWS Best and Fairest in 2018 and 2020, which is pretty impressive in a fairly loaded lineup, you'd have to say. Just his position, I'd say it's not the hardest going round. Loves an uncontested pill, but he is a very good player. Number 4, opposite to Whitfield, I think his position is very hard to find. He's a very unique player, and that's Jake Stringer. I've got him at number 4. Won the flag in 2016 with the Dogs. Australian squad, not squad, but he made the Australian team in 2015. 5-time leading goal kicker for his club. Twice at Essendon, 3 times at the Dogs. Very good player. Loves to have massive impact in big games. And we're seeing this year basically how important he is to the Essendon team. And when he's on, he's one of the best players to watch in the competition. Number 3, similar to the Camden McIntosh thing, if he didn't have 3 flags to his name, he definitely wouldn't be this high. But I don't think you can ignore that personally. And it's Nick Vlauston. He's won all 3 flags with Richmond. He's been in their top 5 in the BNF in 2019 and 2020. He made the All-Australian squad last year. Obviously got KO'd in that grand final, so I don't know how much he remembers of it. But huge, important piece in their team. He's been missing all year and definitely could be one of the reasons why they've had a slow start to the year. But I think Nick Vlauston's been a very, very good player for that dominant Richmond team. And then number 1 and number 2, I'll be interested to see who we have. I assume we all have the same pair, but I'll see. Number 2, I've gone Jack McRae. Just think, I've got Brody Grundy number 1. Just think ruckmen are harder to find than gun inside midfielders, which is what Jack McRae is. Probably one of the best accumulators of the footy we've seen in recent years. Everyone basically knows him for his Supercoach and AFL fantasy. Beast mode, basically. He just finds 30. What is this year? It's like the most games in a row with 30 plus touches or something insane like that. Yeah, 2 All-Australian appearances in 2019, 2020, won the Dogs flag in 2016, All-Australian squad in 2018, and he is just a beast. But yeah, the only reason he's number 2 for me is because there's less ruckman going around than inside midfielders. So Brody Grundy's my number 1, 2018-19 All-Australian. 2-time Collingwood BNF winner, which is probably less than you'd imagine, but I guess they do have some good players like Pendlebury and Sidebottom and stuff. But yeah, Grundy, number 1 pick for me, absolute gun. And yes, I'm interested to hear your top 10s. Pilch, I want to hear where you have, in particular, the Port boys, because you weren't happy with my positioning of them, but what's your top 10, Pilch?
Yeah, so I want to start off by saying there's one huge difference, and that's Jake Stringer. Quick disclaimer, I pretty much did not watch footy in 2015, so I am probably criminally underrating him, but he has not made my top 10. He's my honourable mention. Probably should be at number 10 ahead of Tommy Cleary, but Tom Cleary, I feel like he cops a lot of stick in the media. Like when Hawkins kicked 6 on him last year, he got absolutely belted. But for the last 5 years, he's been a mainstay in our backline, which has been one of the best backlines in the comp. Even when we haven't made the 8, we've always been top 3 or 4 for points conceded. And he always gets the number 1 job as well on the big key forward. So underrated player. Number 9, Lockie Hunter. Just consistent player. Number 8, Viney. 7, Danaher. 6, Membry. I'll leave Rowie to talk about Membry, but I just feel like his position and the way he plays is quite rare in the AFL at the moment, and it's quite an important position. Like, you don't really see many forwards of his physique doing what he does. And as Hamish said, leading goal kicker 3 years in a row. Nick Vlauston at 5. Probably wouldn't be there if not for the premierships, as Hamish said as well. Whitfield 4. Wines 3. Maybe biased. He's had a weird career. He broke out like straight away and became like we'll say B plus to A type inside mid, and then just didn't improve for like 6 years. But last year and this year, he's kind of moved into that elite echelon, and he's been an absolute gun. And he's up there in the Brownlow predictions at the moment for this season, deservedly. And then same as you, Hammer, 2 McRae, 1 Grundy, for the exact same reason. I think Ruckman, more important position and harder position to play in some respects. So, yeah.
Yeah, interested to hear yours, Rowie.
Alrighty. I'll kick off with a few honourable mentions. Yeah, Camden McIntosh, unfortunately, didn't make mine. And unfortunately, Tommy Cleary's 11th man here. So he's only just missed out, unfortunately. But I do recognise he is an underrated player and he does cop the main man every week. But yeah, I'll kick it off. Number 10, I've got Jack Viney, just a bit of a bull in there for them, has been for a while. I've actually got Tim Embry in at 9. He is a very unique player. He's actually only 188 centimetres. So he's actually smaller than half of the midfielders going around nowadays. And it has worked in his favour a lot of the time, but has also sort of limited him slightly. He's got incredible hands, but given his sort of lack in height, it's sort of limited his ability to sort of go into massive packs and take massive clunks, just purely because he's about 10 centimetres smaller than what would make him an elite tall forward. But yeah, that also ability to not kick huge bags. He sort of gets, between 1 and 3 goals a game. Whereas, if he was kicking a few bags of like 4 and 5, he'd be a bit higher. But unfortunately, he's just sort of stuck to that sort of consistent role for us. He's a really good leader, Tim. But yeah, that sort of uniqueness has worked for him, but also against him. And number 8, it was Joe Danaher. Obviously very hard to sort of position, but I think now we obviously saw in his first few years, he was an incredible goal kicker for the Bombers. He's obviously very high up there in, all Australian calculations and stuff. I don't know if he actually might have made the team. I haven't actually looked back at that. And I think hopefully he's regaining some of that form at Brisbane. And it's very good to see him sort of play alongside the likes of McStay Hitwood to take all the pressure off him. And number 7, I've got Jake Stringer. I think the big game impact of his calibre of player is vital, especially for a team like Essendon. Obviously got that premiership with the Dogs and had a huge few years with them. So I really rate that type of player, sort of DeGoey, Dusty Martin type that can roll through the midfield and is just an absolute machine up forward for them. And number 6, I've got Lockie Hunter. He gets a lot of cheapies on the outside, no, but he's a gut runner and he's consistently gets 25-30 when playing the right position, and that takes talent. I think he had another sort of 26, 27 on the weekend against the D's. So he is a big user of the ball for them when they're on the outside. So, and he has been for a while, so he's just been a very consistent player. And number 5, Lockie Whitfield. Speaking of gut runners, this bloke is obviously one of the blokes you think of. Obviously got a really nice kick on him. Plays that sort of slightly easier role when, you're coming out of halfback and taking the ball forward. But at the same time, as we've talked about, Hammer, you need a good kick to play that role. And he's got that. So he's in at number 5 for me. And number 4, I've got Nick Vlauston, who's obviously been a massive part of that Richmond defence in this little mini dynasty they've formed. And would have been interested to see how they would have gone without him. So he's been very solid for them. And number 3, I've also got Ollie Wines. I know it is a bit easier to come by inside midfielders these days, but it is hard to find the ones that get consistent 25 to 35 touches and are just absolute bulls in there week in, week out. He's obviously one of them. And then at number 2, I've actually gone different. I've gone Grundy 2, McRae 1. Usually I would back the taller bloke, given it's a bit harder to find them, obviously, but I just think the eliteness of Jack McRae in the middle is unbelievable. And if he was at another club, obviously wouldn't be as overshadowed by... He's not overshadowed, but a lot more of the light would be on him than likes of Bont and all them. I think McRae, he's so elite at getting it out of the packs and just pinpoint accuracy, finding targets. I think it's just I'm a bit jealous of him because he's the exact type of player that St Kilda need, just a bit of composure and that week in, week out ability to get 35 and most of his touches be elite pinpoint kicks and all that. So, believe me, I rate Grundy very highly, and it's definitely not because Grundy screwed over my super coach this week that he's in it too. But I think McRae is just an absolute incredible midfielder, and I think he's hopefully within Brownlow contention this year because he's just about the complete package. So I'm going to have him over Grundy. But yeah, I'm glad we've all agreed on that top two because it's clearly the top two best players of that draft.
Yeah, I wanted to go Wines at 1, but I wouldn't have been invited back on the podcast. So
Wines 1, Cleary 2.
Yeah, nah. To be fair, this redraft, I definitely looked at achievements a lot more than like current ability and future, I guess, because Wines definitely could be a premiership winner in the next 2 or 3 years, and you'd think he's on track for an Australian appearance in that time frame as well. So I do cop that you guys have him a lot higher than me. All right, time.
It's a miracle! Oh, yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.